Okay, so this is what I received at my shop about a week and a half ago. And this is exactly as was delivered. At first I was a little sketchy, I was a little like twitchy. I'm like that, I get hyper, especially when I've had too much coffee. But this is the clutch, this is American PowerTrains clutch. It looks like a Center Force rebranded. Perhaps it may not be. I don't know where they have these made. There's no branding on it. It does say it was made in Mexico, which I'm not that thrilled about, but what are you going to do? It seems to be the way things are going. This is going to be the pressure plate, and then this is the flywheel as delivered. Again, this looks like a really nice unit. It's very well finished. It looks good. Quite happy with it. This is the way it was delivered as well. It all came in a couple different boxes. And then, oh, one thing I want to tell you too. When this thing shows up at your house, you better have a moose for a FedEx guy, or you better be ready with a forklift. Luckily, I had a forklift and a pickup truck. This box weighs up. Be prepared to do some lifting. This, of course, is the clutch plate. Looks really good. This is the Kevlar organic. Looks like organic. Looks like asbestos. Oh, don't say that. But yeah, it looks like asbestos Kevlar impregnated. We'll see how this holds up. I'm not a real big. I'm real good. I've been driving standard all my life, and I can get 150, 200,000 out of a clutch from start to finish. I've done it before. Trust me. I won't go into my time with. Well, anyway. But anyway, yeah, pretty good with clutches, so I can make them last. The drive shaft itself. The drive shaft showed up. About a week and a half later, like I mentioned, they seem to they order these from a play outfit. Looks like in Florida or California somewhere, I forget, but I happen to see that. This yoke came with a drive shaft. This fits up in the back of your Tremec. This is a Tremec fiber right here. It's a nice unit. It looks really good. One thing you got to understand, and they'll tell you, and you can find it on the net. This one came in and it was locked up. This thing was locked up. It wouldn't move, wouldn't do anything. There's a simple repair for that. Well, there's two simple repairs for it. In my instance, I was in good shape. You drop it into gear, you put the clutch plate on the front of it, and you give it a quick shock, and it seems to reset everything. What happens is inside this plate, inside this plate here are your shifter forks. And as FedEx throws these around like the goons that they are, the shift forks apparently get out of alignment, out of your neutral, and things kind of get out of whack and crack and smack and whatever. I did not have to take this plate off. The shock was just enough to get it to work. However, there is a video on the internet when there's a set of forks in here, and they need to be lined up about right here. If you can't shock it into neutral and get it and free it up, you're going to have to pull this plate, and then you just look like, obviously, take like a screwdriver or a decent pry bar, and you just put these forks back in line, and that's should be enough to fix it. So if you get your Tremec in and it doesn't want to play nice, that's going to be the problem with it right there. Also, they were supposed to ship nuts and bolts and things, and first I unboxed it, and I was like, damn it, where's my stuff? Well, actually what they did is they took the opportunity to put the clutch hardware and everything in with the throwout system. This is the American PowerTrain Hydromax hydraulic. I would imagine this is probably what they started making. This is a nice unit. I haven't taken anything apart. I'm going to leave everything. It gets a little dusty up here, especially this year. It's been dry outside. So with the door open, has a roller pilot bearing. Matter of preference, just a matter of preference, and you get a lot of argument about that. I am not a huge fan of roller style pilot bearings. I'm going to use that because that's what came with this, but I definitely like the pilot bushing preferred over the pilot bearing. But again, you have your throw out clutch alignment, clutch alignment gear. This is the speedometer gear. They're going to sell you the gear that matches your rear end. That of course looks like a very quick install. Reverse, you have your reverse light harness came with it. There is everything you're going to need right here to put this together. This is the kit. I did not go with the billet fill tank. I'm not a big motor dresser guy. I'm not a big I prefer my cars with the hood closed because that means I'm not having to screw with it. So I'm not one of these guys who's going to come to a show and pop the hood up and show off all my chrome doodads and whizzy gigs. A lot of people like that. I'm not making fun of it. You know, it's your car, your way. But I like my engines greasy, and I like them running. And that means the hood is down, and that means that things are working properly. You will definitely have to shim when there's instructions, and you've got to follow these. Makes a lot of sense to me, but we're going from a mechanical throwout. You are going to make measurements from the face of the transmission to the clutch offset, to the clutch offset. You also need to tram the bell housing. I opted not to buy a bell housing from these guys because I'm pretty sure the 70s they did a pretty good job of tramming the bell housing in, but you are going to have to make sure that your transmission is lined up with your crankshaft. And you can force these together, and I've seen it do it, but you're going to end up smoking your pilot bearing. You're going to end up with stress on the input shaft, and I've seen guys honk them together, but there is a procedure that you've got to follow, and I've done that with more than just these. When we set up race cars, we always tram the bell housing. Tram or indicate, whatever tone, whatever word you prefer. That's very important. Follow those instructions. You need to do that. And also your offset. You're going to do your offset. You're supplied with a series of washers spacers that will come up against the back or up the front of the input shaft here. That's going to set your spacing between your fingers and your clutch fingers and the throwout bearing itself. This is hydraulic. We're going to mount it up. That's the last thing I have to do before I start putting this together. Is I'm going to do while the engine's out and the engine bay is clear, and I'll show you. This is my C3. This is a 78 silver anniversary. Those seat covers are on there because the seats are in perfect condition. My father had them reupholstered recently, and I put custom gauges into it. And of course, I've got the center console taken apart because I have ripped the transmission clean out of here. While I've got this apart, I'm going to pull my old header system apart, and the clutch assembly goes down. The clutch throwout down here goes down right down in here, and this is a really good time to get in here and clean up this engine bay. We're going to I'm going to power wash it. I'm going to push it outside, power wash it real good, let her dry real good. Then we're going to just flat black it in here. I'm also in the process of installing a Earl's oil cooler, which is in here. I don't know if you probably can see it down in here, but I've managed to mount an Earl's oil cooler down in here. I still have to make the air box for it, the ducting. That's something that these cars need desperately. You can't run, this is the engine, this is the anchor out of it. You definitely are going to want to put in a new rear mainsail. If you've ever messed with any of these 70s, 60s small block Chevys, which probably anyone watching this video has, you know that these things leak like sieves. They are pigs. They're good motors, they're cheap motors, they make decent power for not a lot of money, but man, bring the oil can because these things like to go. I noticed in this particular build that my motor mounts were in real bad shape. In fact, it was nearly broken on this side. It may have actually been broken on this side, and my transmission mount was just melted. I was getting some vibration out of it, and I guarantee you that's where it was coming from. So, and the pilot bushing on this thing was smoked. So anyway, this is the project. This is the scope of it. You can see I don't have a lift. I just got my old body, a fridge full of beer, and some what's left of muscle on here. So again, this is the project. This is what we're going to be doing. I'm not going to shoot in too much of the install. I'll take some pictures of it and compile them along with the video when I compile the video. Just because it's a pain in the butt, and pictures and videos shot underneath cars are always horrible, and they're not they're nearly unwatchable. I'm sorry guys if you do them, and I appreciate it, but sometimes those videos are just terrible, and they're probably not worth the time to watch them. But anyway, again, freshen this motor up here while it's out of the car. I'm doing rear mainsail, replacing the oil pan, gasket. I have a 2-piece timing cover on here, so that makes it real nice. That's one thing if you're taking it apart. I also noticed when I pulled it apart that my harmonic balancer had slipped on the ring, and that's why I was having some overheating and timing trouble with it, and I believe that's because I was not able to trust my timing light on this. So I've got a new harmonic balancer on here. That's not a bad idea either. Everything lines up real good. High capacity water pump I put on there a while back too.